Questions are emerging about the law enforcement response to that horrific school shooting in Uvalde, Texas on Tuesday. So Tanya Rivero has been there all week. Tanya, good morning. Increasingly, what I'm hearing more and more mixed in with the pain and the loss is anger.
Absolutely, Anne-Marie, and good morning. The pain, as you mentioned, the loss, the sorrow is still very raw, very much on the surface here in Uvalde. If you can, I want to show you the memorial behind me in front of the school that once again swelled overnight. People coming from far and wide now, bringing signs, flowers, balloons, candles that burned through the night. But this morning, Anne-Marie, Uvalde is mourning an additional death. Joe Garcia, the husband of Irma Garcia, one of those two educators who lost their lives in Tuesday's shooting, along with those 19 elementary school students. Joe Garcia came here yesterday, left flowers at his wife's memorial here, and his family says shortly thereafter he died of a heart attack. His family says he died of a broken heart. And now, of course, there are many questions still about the police response to the shooting. And here with more on that is CBS News' Janet Shamlian. Janet, you have the latest on the investigation.
Good morning, Tanya. Yeah, CBS News has talked to several law enforcement sources. They are not connected to the case. They are concerned that police waited to intervene until backup arrived from specialized teams. Our sources say that that is not the way active shooter training is done in most departments. And this morning, it's raising concerns from the community.
This morning, police are searching for the 18-year-old killer's motive, while new details reveal a timeline that leaves many wondering what took law enforcement so long to stop the carnage. Authorities say the 911 call came in at 11:30 a.m. Tuesday, when the gunman's grandmother reported he shot her. This video shows him approaching the school. By 11:40, police say, he entered the building through an unlocked door. After initially saying he confronted a security officer, police now say that was inaccurate. No officer was present. The gunman then walked down a hallway and into the two connected classrooms. We would shoot and kill 19 children and 2 teachers.
4 minutes later, local police departments are inside, making entry. They hear gunfire, they take rounds, they move back, get cover, but we have officers calling for additional resources. Everybody that's in the area.
The officer injured by bullets didn't go in further, instead calling for backup, containing the shooter to those adjoined rooms. The shooter was armed with a semi-automatic long rifle, a law enforcement source telling CBS News he was carrying 210 rounds of ammunition, the equivalent to what an average U.S. soldier carries into basic combat. He had 450 additional rounds in a backpack, but dropped it as the carnage unfolded. Social media videos show frantic parents arriving outside, held back, begging law enforcement to intervene.
During that time that they're making those calls to bring in help, they're also evacuating personnel, students, teachers. There's a lot going on.
He came in and he crouched a little bit and he said it's time to die.
This 9-year-old boy hid as the shooter entered the classroom. He was one of the 4th graders who survived. Many of his classmates did not.
The cop said, "Help if you need help," and then one of the persons in my class said, "Help." The guy overheard and he came in and shot her, and then the cops barged into that classroom.
Sources tell CBS News Border Patrol tactical teams arrived at the school just before noon, and by the time agents breached the room with a shield to take the shooter out, he'd been there for an hour or more.
They said they rushed in and all that. We didn't see that.
With the newly revealed timeline comes criticism authorities didn't move quickly enough. Javier Cazares was among the hysterical parents outside the school. His daughter Jackie died.
I honestly think that it could have been, a lot more could have been prevented if they were prepared.
The school's security budget had doubled since 2018, according to public documents, in order to comply with new state regulations following a school shooting in Santa Fe, Texas. And the Uvalde School District had its own measures in place. They had their own police force and a policy of locking classroom doors. Tanya.
Janet, so of course this investigation is ongoing. We're still in front of an active police scene, but if it does emerge that police did not act correctly in that timeline that we're still looking into, what could the repercussions be?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? And people don't really want to second guess the actions of police officers in the heat of the moment. And for their part, the police in Uvalde have sort of insinuated that they're the two officers who came in initially and took gunfire from the gunman. That was in the moment making an active response.
Right.
So Texas DPS yesterday was very clear, like, this is ongoing, we're still looking into it.
Yeah.
As far as repercussions, I mean, what can you really do?
That's right. Of course, that word that he used in the press conference yesterday, the negotiations that took place, we don't know what that refers to, correct?
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
Like, negotiations, what? Were they talking to him? Was there some type of communication? And the period of time was long. And you can only imagine if you were a parent outside and your child is inside and you lost your child, you have got to be wondering this morning, what were those moments? Could those moments have saved my daughter, my son?
Absolutely. Janet Shamlian, thank you so much. And Anne Marie, we do know that later this afternoon, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is expected here at the school, so perhaps parents will get more answers then. Anne Marie, back to you in New York.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Hopefully there are a lot of questions out there.